Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Precious Mazia and you are welcome. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment. Today we are making mittens using my first ever crochet pattern, so go with me and wish me luck. We start off by making a slip knot. You can use any method that you like. I also have a video in a previous YouTube video where I showed how to make a slip knot. Moving to the foundation chain, we will need to chain 21. The 21 is so that we have one extra chain that we can skip and start with our single crochet in the second chain. But you will see that as we continue doing this pattern. Here we are, we have our foundation chain completed. Now we can move to the first row in this pattern. Moving on to row 1, we will skip the first chain and start working in the second chain, and we will do 9 single crochet in the next 9 chains that we have. As you are doing your single crochets, remember to count your stitches to ensure that you have 9 single crochets in total. After the single crochets, we will do 12 herringbone single crochets. We will start from the previous single crochet, inserting the yarn into that loop, and then inserting the yarn into the chain, then pulling through and pulling through all 3. We'll continue to do that over and over again until you get to the final stitch, your 12th stitch, and then you will move on from there. Remember, from this herringbone single crochet, you insert your needle into the last loop of the previous stitch, then insert into that chain, yarn over and pull through, then you yarn over and pull through all 3. Then you repeat that step over and over until you get to your last stitch. Remember to chain 1 just so you can turn your work and move on to the next row. We are now moving on to row 2. For row 2, we will start with the herringbone single crochet, so you will work in the back loops only, starting with the herringbone single crochet. So you make one half double crochet in the back loop, and then from the last loop in that half double crochet, you insert your yarn, then you insert into that chain, and then you yarn over, pull through all 3, and then you insert again, insert in the chain, yarn over, pull through the loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. You keep on to doing this over and over again like we did in the previous row, but this time you only do it 11 times, since that last stitch you used it to make a half double crochet. After you've completed your 11 herringbone single crochet, you move on to making your 9 single crochets in the back loops only again. For the rest of this entire work, you'll be working only in the back loops to give it that ribbed look. You can use a stitch marker to mark where you finished or where you started with your single crochets, so that you don't have to count every single time like I normally will do. but it's up to you. I will be counting and using a stitch marker at the same time, so that's also fine with me. As always, you chain 1 to turn your work. In row 3, we have to start with the single crochets after turning your work, because you ended with single crochets, so you started single crochets. So you will single crochet 9 single crochets into the back loops of the previous stitches. After you've completed your single crochets, you will have to do 12 herringbone single crochets. Remember, this time we don't have half double crochet, so we will be doing 12 herringbone single crochets into the back loops of the previous stitches of the previous row, to make sure that everything is lined up instead of doing 11. And remember, we don't have a half double crochet in the second row. No, sorry, in the third row. Always remember to chain 1 at the end so that you are able to turn your work and move on to the next row. Moving from row 4 and all other even numbered rows, you repeat the pattern for row 2, and for all odd numbered rows and row 5, you repeat the pattern for row number 3. This is what my panel looks like after 20 rows. I have done 20 rows going upwards so that it can fit around a kid of 4 to 5 years old. So if I fold the panel in half, it should be able to fit around her palm. When I fold my panel, the back loops must be away from me, so that when I join it with slip stitching, I'm able to join the back loops along with the parent chain. So I'll be joining the back chain and the last row by slip stitching them together. You can also use a needle if you wish, and if you feel like it will be simpler for you, but I use slip stitches in this video. We will be slip stitching all the sections that have the single crochets along to the back chain that also have the side with the single crochets. So we're expecting at least 9 slip stitches all the way up until you get to the part where your wrist ends and your thumb starts, so that you are able to leave enough space to fit your thumb in that hole. So just make sure that when you are slip stitching, you stop right before the thumb starts, and then you don't join both the panels. So you will slip stitch one side of the panel so that you leave enough space for the thumb. Instead of joining, you just do slip stitches from the other side to move your yarn up the panel. As you are slip stitching on the one side, make sure you leave enough chains or enough stitches up there for for you to join the panels again on the other side, so that there is a proper hole where your thumb fits, but then there's a section where this mitten is joined up there. So I left 3 stitches, so I joined them using only 3 stitches since it's for a child, so that I felt that was enough for my mitten that I was making. After you've moved your yarn up, you go back to what we did at the bottom part of this mitten. You join both the sides, the back chain and the last row, using slip stitches, and you slip stitch each chain to each back chain to each stitch from the other row, and then everything will just look seamless. It will look like another ripping that you did at the end. Don't forget to chain 1 at the end so that everything is tied off properly. Then you can cut your yarn, leave enough yarn so that you can sew in the ends and tighten up your work, and make sure that it doesn't come loose later on. I like to make sure that my yarn is extra secure by tying in together the 2 ends, then weaving them separately in different directions. So that is what I'm doing here. I tied them to make sure that they are tight, that everything is secure. You can see that the slip stitch that we made fits in with the rest of the work. It looks like parts of the ribbing, like it's one of the ribbing there. So what I'll do, I'll turn my work inside out. Remember to weave in the loose pieces, the remaining yarn, to make sure that your work is extra secure and doesn't come loose at a later stage. You can weave it in using your needle, or you can use your crochet hook that you're using to crochet. It's up to you. I prefer to use this needle because it ensures that some of my work don't become loose in the process. So this is what my mitten looks like in the end. You can see there's that thumb hole where the thumb will fit. So this is the final look for our mittens. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment.